Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Abu Idris. This is Hijrah Tips and Advice. The purpose of this channel is to give you advice about things you can expect when you arrive in the country that you're migrating to, and also to let you know about some things that you need to know before you go. So we're going to talk today about the general state of the Muslim Ummah, and that is you have two types of jahil, and we have a lot of jaahiliyyah or jahil, that is ignorance in Islam or in the Muslim world at this moment. So before I go into the first one, please do me a favor. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share and hit the bell for the notification for new videos. So you have two types of jahil. That is, you have jahil basid and jahil murakkab. And I think you have another one, a third one, but these are the two that are in my mind. Jahil basid, as defined by the scholars, is simple ignorance. That's pretty much anybody and everybody, okay? And jahil basid, basid meaning simple ignorance, things that you just simply didn't know, okay? This can be corrected with knowledge, okay? So for example, for a very long time when I came into Islam, we were of the camp that used to wipe the back of their neck when we used to make wudu. May Allah have mercy on all of us. I mean, so we didn't know, okay? And I used to see some people who were doing this and some people who didn't do it. And me being a new Muslim and understanding that things have a source and you have hadith and like this, I was like, hey, I'm trying to correct people. You should wipe the back of your neck. Your wudu is not complete. And this is my first year in Islam. Maybe my first 6 months in Islam. But I'm zealous. I'm gung-ho. I'm happy. I'm ready to go, you know. And one brother said, okay, where's the hadith for that? And this is my first exposure to making sure that you have evidence for what you say. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll find the hadith. I mean, I'm seeing people do it. There must be a hadith with it. So I'm looking. I looked through Sahih Muslim. I looked through Sahih Bukhari. I think we had, what do we have? We had the Muwatta of Imam Malik in the Masjid, and maybe one other book. And I didn't find a single reference for this. And so in my travels, you know, I started to hear this question come up in some of the circles, you know, of like the students of knowledge and the people who, you know, the sheikhs who would come, the shuyukh who would come and teach us, and then a brother would translate like this. And this question came up a few times. And there is no narration for wiping the back of the neck. The narration is, I'm sorry, there is a narration, but it's either mawdu' or it is da'if jiddan. So it's either fabricated or it's extremely weak, okay? I'm saying that to say that this is the majority of what you're going to experience in the Gulf countries in terms of Islam, unless you are, you know, close to a sheikh or in his area, in his neighborhood. Like we lived when I was in Riyadh, we lived very close. We lived right down the street, actually, from Sheikh, was it Sheikh Arthamin? Sheikh Arthamin. No, not Sheikh Arthamin. Sheikh Ibn Baz. Sheikh Ibn Baz. We lived down the street from Sheikh Ibn Baz. One of his villas we lived down the street from. And so, you know, in that area, or in that neighborhood, you know, it's not so much ignorance. I'm not saying that the sheikh living there makes everybody smart. But also we used to go to the masjid of the mufti at that time, the Sheikh Abdulaziz al-Sheikh, rahimahullah. So, rahimahumullah. In those areas, in those circles, you find people are a bit more studious, a bit more, and they are a bit more observant of the sunnah. But in general, you're going to find people who are just doing things in Islam that you're like, why is he still doing it? Why is he still standing here with his feet so close together that he won't touch the feet of the person next to him? Why is it that, you know, when you see him making wudu, instead of wiping his head from the front to the back and back to the front like he's supposed to, he'll do something like this. He's not wiping under his beard with his wet hands. He just, okay. So you may, when you see that, you may get the idea that, man, these people are on some crazy stuff. They're not even on the sunnah. I need to find the masjid of the Muslims. I need to find the masjid of the Salafi. I need to find the masjid of people of Ahl Sunnah, because, you know, these people are on batil. They're this and this and this and this. This is the general state of affairs, excuse me, This is the general state of affairs of most Muslims. Most Muslims. So how do you deal with that? How do you cope with that? You just simply cope with it. If you have a chance to say something to somebody in a very nice and polite manner, with some rifq, some gentleness, and some hikmah, some wisdom, billati hiya ahsan, and you argue with them or talk with them in the best kind of way, and you have the tabassum, you're smiling and you're nice, and you present the evidence, not just you can't do that. Why? Because Rasulullah said we can't do that. That's not how you approach that bad. Okay, that's not how you approach that. You have some evidence with you. You are nice and like this, and you may have to do that a few times because people are on what they're on. They are raised the way that they're raised. They learn Islam in their village. They learn Islam from their sheikh in their locality. They learn Islam from their parents. They learn Islam from stuff in school. And some of them they just kind of winging it as they go along. You know, they watch this, they see this, they heard that, they look at the lecture, they listen to it, they watch the video, they heard a sheikh come to the masjid. It could be anything. Okay, you have to deal with that because this is the general state of affairs. If you can't deal with that, and you cannot, and you're not going to be able to correct everybody that you see, please don't do that. You're not the super police. You're not the super Muslim police. You're not the super Sunnah police. You're not the super Sunni. You're not. You're just going to burn yourself out, and you're going to alienate yourself from people that you need to be close to because you live in the neighborhood. And some of these areas are very small in terms of the communities that really know each other. So you begin to develop a bad reputation of this, British guy or American guy or Pakistani guy or Indian guy or Sri Lankan guy who thinks he knows everything about Islam. And that you can create some problems for yourself. You want to be able to settle in to your host country as smoothly as possible. So you're going to have to play the balance. You cannot be silent about everything, nor do you need to address everything. And if you tell somebody something, if you give somebody nasiha and you tell them what the right way is and they don't follow it, next day you see them doing the same thing. Next prayer, you see them doing the same thing. Don't get irritated. Like, I thought we talked about that. You can't do that because I think there's a difference of opinion because he's gonna give you his kalam because he thinks he knows. What you have to do as the person who does know is you have to temper that with some wisdom. Okay, you have to temper that with patience. Okay, because not everybody arrives at the haq in the same speed, in the same fashion. Some people take a while to get used to that. Some people follow something from some other person, some other sheikh that in your circles. You've heard this guy, keep away from him. This guy, he's no good. This guy shouldn't be sought for knowledge. You already know, and he's spouting those names off to you like this is something that like he's that these are credentials, and it's not like that. So you have to be patient with that. The other type of jahil that you're going to come across is jahil murakkab or jahil murakkaba, and that is what is explained as compounded ignorance. So that they know the truth, they just simply won't do it. And they'll find reasons to avoid that. So you give them the haq on a situation, and they'll say, well, that sounds good, but who did you take that from? Oh, from Sheikh so-and-so. Oh, no. We don't listen to the Sheikh because he's listening to you're a Wahhabi, right? Yes, I have many friends who are Wahhabis, and I have, and Wahhabis, God's always causing trouble. You medically, you always causing trouble. He's just, he don't know what he's talking about, and you have to kind of accept that. And if he's like that, if his kalam is like that, you have to say, okay, mashallah, jazakallah khair, mashallah. It don't mean that when you go to the masjid now, he's for the people of Baltimore. And now you mean mugging him, when you see him, you don't want to give him a salam. And how is he going to conform? How is he going to come to the haq when the only person in the masjid who seems to know what's going on is giving him the side eye and the mean mug and the bad face every time he sees him? Is that going to bring him close to the haq? No, it's not. And then what you're going to do is you're going to allow the shaitan to get in his ear and cement him even further in that position, because you people see, this is what everybody's talking about. You medicalies, you Wahhabis, you guys, you Salafis or whoever, you guys are you are mutashaddid. You're too strict. You're too harsh. If somebody doesn't like what you say, automatically now you don't want anything to do with them. You don't want to talk to them. You don't want to do any. You're further reinforcing that idea. So leave that alone. You gave him the haq. You advised him. You were gentle. You had the proof. You were kind. You were wise. You dealt with him and you argued with him. You had a dialogue. You had a dialogue back and forth for him to arrive at the truth. You established the evidence and he rejected it. Khalas. Khalas. You have done what was on you to do. You did what you were supposed to do. The rest of that, you leave it for Allah. As Allah said in the Quran, the duty of the messenger is to convey the message. That's it. That's why he's the messenger of Allah. Yaqulullah, Yaqulullah, Qala Allah, Qala Allah, Yaqulullah, Qala Allah. Allah said, Allah said, Allah said, Allah said, Allah says. That's it. In our case now, Yaqulullah wa Qala Rasulullah, Qala Rasulullah, Qala Nabi, Qala Nabi Allah. Just tell them what was said. Deliver the message, as Allah says, Balaghun Mubin. Balaghun Mubin. Clear and openly, or clear and effectively. Make it clear. Don't just approach a person because you see something wrong. You don't have any evidence to back up what you say, and you just running your mouth. Okay? So this is the state you're going to find a lot of people on. Okay? How do you deal with that? You have to deal with that with some patience. You have to deal with that with some gentleness. You have to deal with that with some wisdom. Okay? And especially if you see somebody and you're just meeting him for the first time, you don't even know this person. You're not going to be able to approach people like that. A friend of mine told me, his brother was from Egypt, good friend of mine. He said, there's an expression they use in Egypt. They say, it is easier to move the mountains from their place than to get an Arab to change his mind. I'm not being racial, so don't trip. I'm saying this is a fact. It is a fact, okay? So it doesn't mean that the Arabs have something wrong with them, and this could be true for any race or nationality, but you're dealing with a people who are very firmly rooted in the things that they believe to be correct and true. So you're not going to always be met with, you know what, Jazakallah khair, I didn't know that. Whoa, mashallah, mashallah, may Allah bless you. Barakallahu feek. I didn't know that, mashallah. And when did you read that? You're not going to be greeted with that all the time. You're going to be greeted with, well, the way I learned it is this. My sheikh said this. My father taught me this. Are you saying my father's wrong? Are you saying my sheikh is wrong? Are you saying the man in the masjid, he's wrong? Are you saying that all the people who do that, they're all wrong? That's what you're going to be greeted with in some cases. Okay? And in some other cases, they'll just be polite. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Barakallahu feek. Yes, you're right. Mashallah. Jazakallah khair. That's just them being polite. They're not going to tell you, listen, you don't know what you're talking about. I disagree with you. They're just going to thank you for the information. Thank you for the advice. And by the time the next prayer comes in, he's going to be doing the same thing that he was just doing when you saw him. So you have to approach that with some wisdom, you guys, with some wisdom, because it's not going to always be that just because you migrated to the land of the Muslims, that all of the Muslims have, or the Muslims in that area have a more solid understanding. This is very important to understand, you know, and this is going to help your settling in become easier. And then when you start to get close to people, start to get to know them in the course of your conversation, in passing, not that you're lecturing a person every time you see him, because nobody wants to be around that, okay? But, you know, it just kind of comes up in passing. You know, you kind of drop it here, you drop it there a little bit, drop it there a little bit. Like Rasulullah, he used to do in Mecca. He would just drop it a little bit of the dawah, and to the people, Allah said they used to put their fingers in their ears. And they used to make noises to drown him out. So you got about a few seconds when you start talking about Tawheed and the worship of Allah and so forth and so on. And then people go, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it. And we know people like that. We know people who are like, okay, I don't want to talk about it no more. Thank you. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. So you got to be quick on the draw. Get in what you can get in and get out. But you don't want to turn into every time that y'all see each other, every time you guys meet each other, you know, he's going to have to brace himself for another 15-minute lecture. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to hear that. You know, have a nice time. Enjoy the company of the people that you're with. Learn something from the culture. You know, make some friends. You know, establish some connections. Network with the people. And just take it easy, man. Just take it easy. You know, you're not seen as an extremist. You're not seen as a person who, you know, he's every time you see him, you know, no, nobody wants that. So just take it easy, Abdullah. Take it easy, yeah, Amatullah. and just understand that this is the state of affairs that Muslims are in. So you will be Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'at in the area where you are. You will be Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'at in a particular matter. Okay, you are with the Jama'at in that particular affair, but we're not there to force feed, the ilm or the fatwa or the ayat or the hadith down to people's throats. And again, for clarification, I'm not saying that you should remain silent because you don't want to upset or offend people. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there has to be a balance. Balance how you mete out, how you measure out your nasiha to the people. Balance it. Look at him. Gauge him. Does he look worried? Does he look tired? Does he look stressed? Are his kids in the masjid and they're running all over the place and they just giving him a hard time? That might not be the best time to approach him. Might not be the best time. Is he in a hurry? You see him going through the salah. He's flipping through the salah really fast. Is he in a hurry to go somewhere? He might not have time for you to stop him for 3 minutes of nasiha. So you have to gauge your dawah effort. You know what I mean? So you can't stay silent and you can't talk too much. And this takes some practice. That's it, you guys. So again, my last request of you is if you know people who are going to be making Hijrah or want to make Hijrah, let them know about the channel. Share this link with them for the channel so they can see the other videos in which we talk about things that you need to know before you go and things that you should expect when you arrive that might be a bit of a shock to you when you first get there, inshallah. جزاك الله خير. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.